In our last video, we took a look at the Corolla Cross 1.8G and we found it to be compelling, especially for the price. But what if you're not really limited by your budget and you want something a little more exciting? Well, they're offering you this, the Corolla Cross GR-S. Base and mid-grade models are great for value, but sometimes you just want to splurge on something more, make you feel better about your car. And that's what Toyota is offering with the GR-S. The top of the line, the fanciest of the entire Corolla Cross model range with so many features. Well, it could use with a few more, but we'll bring that back later. But really, it's the top dog of the Corolla Cross model range. Now, what is the history of Toyota Motor Philippines when it comes to these sport style models? So what is GR-S? It stands for Gazoo Racing Sport. Gazoo Racing being Toyota's motorsport division, and then they're putting in that same branding into their styling enhancements and some other mechanical enhancements with their vehicles. So you have things like the Yaris GR, you have even all of the GR86. Those are now bona fide GR models. And then you have this, which gives you a nice styling update with some mechanical updates, similar to what, let's say, BMW does with M Sport. That's the kind of thing that Toyota is going with here. It's kind of like a GR Lite. Before GR, Toyota used TRD quite a bit, or Toyota Racing Development. And that was their previous division, but they're no longer using it here in the Philippines, at least. I know there's still a TRD Asia maybe, or maybe they've already phased it out. Let me know in the comments below what your news is about that. But when it comes to the Philippine market, it all kind of began with the Corolla Altis, fittingly enough, back I think in 2005. And I remember that. It was the Altis 1.6S, 1.6 Sport, which effectively was a base model Altis with a manual transmission. It didn't even have ABS. It was just a styling package. But in the case of the GR-S, this is the all bells and whistles example. So it's got a different blacked out front grille, a bit fancier. It's got the different Toyota logo there, which, by the way, this also doubles as your radar for the dynamic radar cruise control. Because if you look below, it's not there, it's not here, it's gotta be this one. You've got a 360 camera in this vehicle, you've got the nicer wheels, different headlights, and by the way, these are, I think, smoked headlights. It looks really, really fancy. You got the black roof, black A pillars, B pillars, C pillars, and D pillars. And you got the glass roof up there with the roof rails, which, by the way, the roof rails, not really functional, but still, it looks good. And being that this is the top of the line of the entire model range, you get Toyota Safety Sense, which is why you have a few more cameras there right next to the dash camera, which is standard for the Corolla Cross range. The design of the Corolla Cross GR-S does look good with the black roof, again, being that it has a sunroof up there. The way they do this, the way they do the taillights, which, by the way, glow red. It's different compared to the other one, which has the red on the outside. This one, the LEDs are the red part, which look good. Reverse lights there. Lower bumper looks good. It also has the rear camera here. Actually, this is the dash cam part of the entire system. The part of your 360 camera is right up here, somewhere. There it is. So this is actually the washer. Your rear camera is there. And then this is part of the dash cam system. Now, to open the tailgate, press that or press the button on your key. And the space here with the rear seats up is about 33 inches long, about 45 inches wide between the wheel wells. But the space is expandable overall when you start folding down the rear seats. Because when you do that, it goes up to well over 50 inches. I think 52 thereabouts. We'll check our numbers now. But it's a respectable amount of space. But if you notice, it's not a fold flat. Oh, by the way, it has a tonneau cover that also retracts, which is good. But the space is not fold flat because the rear seats cannot go down to the floor because of the, well, two things. One is the fuel tank. The other one is the battery underneath. But still, the space they got out of this, pretty respectable. Now, when we open the compartment here, this floor board, it conceals a space saver tire, your tools and all that. But as we'll show you later, there's a difference with the Corolla Cross G. But yeah, space saver tire, some space here for other tools and storage and stuff. You even got pockets here on the side, but overall it's a good space for a Corolla Cross. And I really like these retractable covers. Makes it nice and easy to use. Anyways, let's check out what else is under the hood of this vehicle. When we opened the hood of the Corolla Cross G, the same facelift as this, well, there were some changes with the engine because the previous one did not have a hybrid system. Now all of them do. In the case of this one, this has always been what's under the hood of the Corolla Cross GR-S, as well as the V variant. Both have always been hybrids here in the Philippine market. So the hybrid of this one, same as the other one. It's a 1.8 liter hybrid drive system, meaning gasoline and electric with an Atkinson cycle engine, charging the whole system up. There's no plug-in option in this one. That is just one of the deals with this kind of hybrid system. The battery pack is underneath the rear seats. It's a nickel metal hydride battery, not a lithium ion or lithium iron or something like that battery. So it's the older kind of system, which is actually reliable, but when it comes to power, not as high compared to the Li-ion batteries. Anyways, for power, you've got 98 PS from the gasoline engine and about 70 from the electric motor. For torque, you've got 142 from the gas engine and around 160 Newton meters from the electric motor. Those are the things that it gives you more of an advantage when it comes to the torque, because electric motors, as we know, gives you more torque overall compared to an equivalent gasoline engine, or at least a similar sized gasoline engine, if you can even compare those sizes. Anyways, looking around, what do we see? You can see the conduits for the orange there for the high voltage lines. We can see the platform here of the Corolla Cross, the TNGA. Because the body panels are more SUV and the platform is very car, we can see like big gaps all around, which is the kind of thing I noted with the previous Corolla Cross that I reviewed before. So, for example, looking down here, I can see leaves down here, which kind of gets in there, I guess, when somebody washed it. Same with some other parts. So, yeah, I think they should close some of the gaps here, but again, minor issue. They can just clean that out, no problem. Just like in the pre-facelift models, we're noticing a lot of Corolla Cross badges and logos all around the vehicle. I mean, you'll see it right here on the cowling. You'll see it on the rear glass. You'll see a few things all around. Kind of, they like to be proud of the Corolla Cross, which is a good thing because it is a very hot-selling vehicle here in the Philippines, particularly as a hybrid. Oh, it's coding exempt too. Anyways, let's go check out what's inside. So what's been upgraded with the Corolla Cross GR-S. Oh, by the way, one more thing. This one has different suspension. So I had just hopped out of the Corolla Cross G and into the GR-S. Well, there are some things that have changed in here. For one, the upholstery has changed. Some of the features have been added as well. For example, this one now has the cruise control system because this package comes with the Toyota Safety Sense system. Meaning, you get the dynamic radar cruise control, you get the lane keep, all that stuff, all those fancy features that keep you safe when you're driving, particularly on the highway, very, very useful, are in this vehicle. We'll list all the features here. But also, you look around some of the things here, some things have also changed very much. For example, your instrument cluster is no longer an analog and then multi-info display combination. This is a full digital screen with your power meter here on the left and your speedometer on the right with information scattered all around. The steering wheel does feel the same kind of buttons, again, apart from this. There are some buttons extra here on the left side because this one does have an auto high beam. So there's a button here for the auto high beam. And then your trip meter, of course, same with that one. But the big change also is with the screen here because compared to the previous model, this also has a nice upgraded screen with USB ports right here, USB-C, and the USB up there, volume control on the right side. And you may be wondering why it's on the right side. And the reason is this is shared with the right-hand drive models of the Toyota Corolla Cross being made in Thailand. So the driver would be here And these buttons they didn't really bother to switch it around for our market, which is, still it's okay because you've got the volume controls here. Dual zone climate control here, which is again pretty useful. Now this does have a 360 camera. You can activate it two ways. If you pop it into reverse, comes up like that. Or let me get out of this again. Or if you press this button right there, gives you a 360 view of the vehicle, which is very nice and useful to be able to park very easily. Again, door is open. That's why one of the images looks quite weird. And you can cycle through the different views here. This is a big difference compared to the one in the Innova Zenix or Zenix, because in the Innova Zenix, when you have the 360 camera activated, it's actually not a touch screen. You have to press a button here. This one seems to be native to this system. Now, out of that view, you do have your wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto in this one, which again, very useful. And it does come with a wireless charger, and that's where my phone has been sitting, just like the Corolla Cross G. But also like the Corolla Cross G, it has no buttons here. So again, why retain this panel? This one also, actually, I think it moves a little bit more than the other one. You do have the same shifter here, PR and D, and then B for the engine brake. So it's more aggressive with the energy recapture. You do have your same drive modes, the power mode, eco mode. But when you do press this, the view here up in the screen changes. So normal, power mode, ooh, looks nice. And then you have eco mode. Just like the other one, it does have the electronic parking brake and the auto brake hold, which by the way is a big upgrade from the previous Corolla Cross, which I think I failed to mention in the Corolla Cross G, because that one had a foot brake right here. This one, you now get the EPB with the auto hold, useful. And then you have your two cup holders here, center armrest here with the 12-volt outlet here, and it slides. There you go. It slides, so it's actually nice and convenient for a long drive, which is a cool thing. And then here in the back, when I was sitting here, the space is pretty much the same as the other one, except for the change in leather seat. So it feels different when you're sitting there. It has a center armrest. You have two AC vents here, along with two USB-C ports. So in the Corolla Cross G, you have the USB-C port here in the middle for the rear passengers. In the GR-S, you have two in the back near the floor. And speaking of the floor of the one in the back, well, just like the other one, the risers and the mounts for the seats do constrict the space a bit, so at least for your shoes. So keep that in mind. You do have the dash cam here, which is standard across the Corolla Cross GR-S and G range. And the big thing here though is all the GR stuff, because GR embossed here. You have GR floor mats, you have GR ignition button here. All of this adds so much horsepower. Just kidding, it's pretty much the same. So I had just hopped off of the Toyota Corolla Cross 1.8G, and I'm trying to think whether this upgrade is actually worth it, because you look around, it seems the same. Again, no changes in the colorway inside, no fancier GR-S colors apart from the logos on the floor mats, the logo on the headrest, and your logo on the ignition button there, which adds so much more horsepower. But jokes aside, it looks good. There's not. I'm not one to really focus too much on the design, or at least the design upgrade. But with this one, they kind of made it substantial, which I do appreciate. It's not just a body kit slapped on. It's actually an entirely new front clip, and that's something we like. And one of the bigger upgrades here really is actually something I'm not using right now, is right here, the sunroof. So you can drive around, enjoy a bit of the sun if that's your kind of thing. But do keep in mind that when you use that, it kind of heats up the cabin a bit more, makes it a bit more challenging on the AC system. But when it comes to the sacrifice of the fuel economy, it's not going to be that much, unless it's really, really hot and you want it really, really cold. So it depends really on your preference. But still, it's something like I would truly enjoy if I was just driving around the city. It makes it a little bit more interesting. And that's, I think, what they're going for with the Corolla Cross GRS. They just made it more interesting. Instead of being just a basic, like I said, with the other one, it's Essential HEV. This one is a little bit fancier, when it comes to the feel of it, when you open up the sunroof, when you start using the adaptive cruise control. And then of course the screen here seems a bit fancier even when you go through the drive modes. So it's a bit more fun, or it's a bit more satisfying in that sense. In performance, it's pretty much the same. So fuel economy, you're gonna get the same kind of digits, unless of course you have this always open. So when you're driving around, expect around 17.5 to 18, or that kind of range when it comes to the fuel economy in the city. On the highway, you're gonna get around the same thing, around 25. It really depends on the driving habits and the driving conditions when it comes to the fuel efficiency of hybrids, because they tend to fluctuate quite a bit, unless of course you're driving around in a lab in fully controlled environment where there are no other variables. So that is a difficulty in judging the fuel economy and getting the numbers that you would get in a vehicle. It really depends on what's going on around you and the kind of average speeds you're dealing with. And a hybrid gives you the advantage of the electric motor, especially for city driving, where you can, like right now, I'm running on the battery only. I'm coasting, so it's charging it up. I step on it, and the arrows on the diagram for the hybrid system is similar to the Prius before. It shows where the power is coming from and where it's being redirected to. And that's the advantage of a hybrid. You can play around with that depending on your driving style, depending on the pressure you apply onto the pedal. Now, if you want to have some fun, this vehicle will oblige you. For example, I'll put it on power mode, and you step on it, it's far more willing to respond compared to eco and normal mode. Just a little prod of the throttle, it drops down a couple of ratios. It doesn't drop down a gear because there are no, gears in this kind of CVT, or at least there's no gears in the classic sense, or gear ratios in the classic sense. You have drive ratios because of the way the CVT actually works in this power split hybrid. So it's fun, it accelerates, it just doesn't offer you the direct feel of a manual transmission, or even the classic automatic, which actually has shifting going on. This is more like selecting ratios and all that. So keep that in mind when you're driving around in the Corolla Cross GRS. Now, there is also a slight change when it comes to the ride comfort of the vehicle, because the tires of this, the side profile, is a little bit slimmer than the one on the Corolla Cross 1.8G. So it does feel a bit firmer. The tires though, these are Michelin Primacies, so they're actually better overall when it comes to handling. And Toyota actually upped the handling on the vehicle a little bit, because instead of just, again, putting on the typical practice is you put on a body kit, but you don't really change anything when it comes to the handling, when it comes to the tires. In this one, they did. So they actually have improved enhancements to the suspension slightly, and they also have the tires. So when it comes to the feel around the bends, we can't demonstrate it around now on EDSA, but when it comes to the feel, there is an improvement in that. And again, actually, props to Toyota for going that route. They weren't just content in doing the typical thing by going, putting on a body kit, some badges, and then calling it a day. And back, in the past, in like 15 years ago, or actually no, it's almost 19 years ago now, when they first launched that Altis 1.6S, that was a base model Altis. They just put a chin on it. They put some small but nicer wheels. It doesn't even have ABS, so when we were driving it around places like Batangas Racing Circuit, you would think it had handling. No, not really. It was still very much a base model Altis with a 1.6 engine. It didn't even have the larger 1.8 at the time, or was that 2-liter at the time? I think it was 1.8 at the time. So at least now they're putting in some enhancements to make it worthy of the sport badge. Not just a kit, not just a dress up decal kit kind of thing. There's actually a change here, and we appreciate Toyota for going that route, and for how GRS is starting to mean more than just aesthetics. The Corolla Cross GR-S doesn't really make sense from a value perspective because as it stands, this model costs 1.922 million in the My Chemical Romance colors, you know, emo red and black attitude mica. But when it comes to splurging and enjoying your purchase, I think this is fun because it really does look good. It feels great inside. Yes, there are some things that I think are missing when it comes to the panels and all that, but still feels great, quite quiet, and really, really efficient. That is what you want out of an everyday vehicle, and this certainly delivers. Makes you feel better about your purchase. But guys, let me know in the comments below what you think of the Corolla Cross GR-S. Do you think it's the model for you, or would you rather go for the G? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. This is Vince of AutoIndustriya.com. Thank you for watching and thank you for enjoying this two-part series on the Corolla Cross hybrid variants. What should we check out next? May facelift na ba na Supra?